How are you feeling today? Do you feel fulfilled in life? The show will begin in 4 minutes. Are you ready? When was the last time you felt betrayed? When was the last time you felt loved? The show will begin in 3 minutes. Are you ready? What did it feel like to be in love? What is the most painful part of being in love? The show will begin in 2 minutes. Are you ready? Are you ready to be transformed? Are you ready to make a change? The show will begin in 1 minute. I hope you're ready. The show will begin in exactly 30 seconds. Get ready. What if I told you that you can get any man you're dating to fully respect you? What if I also told you you don't even have to actually ask him to respect you in order to do this properly? If that sounds impossible to you, don't worry. On today's show, we're going to be discussing how to force men to respect you. That way, you never have to get mistreated or disrespected by any man you're dating ever again. Welcome to the Players Club. If you're paying attention to me and everyone else in the live stream, please stay here or present so that I know you're here present and actively participating. How are you all doing in the chat today? So good to see you. Who we got up in here? So we got Trina up in here, Jessica up in here, Scotty up in here. I was trying to make you a moderator, Scotty, but I couldn't find your username. Please send it to me on message, okay? Jordan up in here. We got Husana up in here. Muma up in here, Bibi up in here, Kayla up in here, Lena up in here, Spaghetti up in here, Valerie up in here. Welcome all you beautiful people in the TikTok chat. Who we got over in the YouTube chat? We got Henya, one of our amazing channel members. We got Deshaun, one of our amazing channel members. Ivy, an amazing channel member. We got Layla here. Viola is here. Sister is here. Jazz is here. And Carmen is here, one of our amazing channel members. And of course, we got Missy America holding down our YouTube chat as our moderator up in there. And I believe we have both Sharice and SH up in our TikTok chat holding it down. Let's get started, guys. How to force men to respect you, okay? Let's get started with our first point, okay? Because this is all important as it relates to your relationships. Remember, I always tell you, respect and fear are the only two things you want to be thinking about in your relationships, because that is what's really going to get the guys to act right. And remember, you don't just want a man, you want a man to act properly. Okay, so let's start off with number one, which is going to be horror stories. Now, I've talked to you guys about horror stories before and why they're, let me just see here, right? Why they're so important in your relationships, because from the very beginning, obviously, when you first go on a date with a guy, you're not going to get an opportunity to tell him how much he needs to respect you and to show him this and to show him that. It's a first date, and your first couple dates are going to be pretty casual. There's going to be chit chat, but there's not a lot of opportunity to show him things. Now, this is such an important time, though, however, to give him some strategic stories about your past relationships, the things you've been through, and how you go about life and your relationships, so he can get a clear understanding of what you're willing to deal with or what you're not willing to deal with. So this is why horror stories are so important. I'm going to give you a little bit of a visual so you can kind of see this in action, okay? So at first, when I draw this, it might not make a lot of sense, but don't worry. As we discuss, it will make so much more sense, okay? Right? Okay. So what I want you to kind of understand here is that anytime you're dating a guy, okay, that at the beginning, he's always going to be essentially seeing the relationship or seeing your past relationships through the perspective of him. Because really and truthfully, guys don't care about your past relationships as they really relate to the other guy. Okay, guys have too big an ego to really care about the other guy. What they care about is the other guy in comparison to themselves. How much more rich or poor is that guy versus me? How much of a bigger or smaller schlong does that guy have versus me? How much, disrespect or princess treatment did he give to you versus me and what I can do? He's always constantly gauging what your exes have done for you or not done for you to determine how he fits into this equation. It's a very, very ego-driven thing. So I want you to understand that concept, to understand what I'm about to break down with you here as it relates to horror stories. So because men are constantly visualizing all of your past experiences from the perspective of how do they relate to me, not relate to me, or are in line with what I want to do or what I may not be able to do, this is what's so important. You're actually in the process of letting men know what's going on with you, feeding them a visual of what their relationship with you would look like or could look like if they want to be in a relationship with you. So this is the mistake that a lot of you are making when you're in your talking stages and in those very first dates. See, what you end up talking about is disrespect. And not just disrespect, you end up talking about disrespect that you forgave over and over and over and over again, okay? And so when he begins to visualize himself in a relationship with you, you're actually giving him a very clear visual of a relationship that looks like disrespect, followed by you forgiving him over and over and over again. What are some of the other things you discuss a lot when you're talking about your past relationships? You talk about your mistreatment. You talk about all the ways he took advantage of you, all the ways he mistreated you, all the ways he did you so, so dirty. And you can't believe you gave the time of day to that guy after forgiving him and doing all that you could possibly do for this man. And so once again, you're giving him a very clear visual of what his relationship would look like or could look like in comparison to the last guy. Because remember, guys aren't meeting you and thinking, oh, I want to change your life and give you something that you've never seen before. Guys are thinking, well, what is she used to? What is she accustomed to? What am I capable of? And am I better or worse than the man that came before her? So this ego-driven thing, when you're starting to talk about the mistreatment and you're starting to talk about the disrespect, he's now visualizing his relationship with you from the perspective of, that must mean I can get away with those same things. That must mean I have the ability to treat her that same way with that mistreatment or to disrespect her that same way, and I will get away with it once again as well, okay? So what are some of the other things that you talk about, right? You talk about, right? This is a big mistake that a lot of you make, okay? When you start talking about your past relationships, you start talking about them from the perspective of after he did the wrong thing, after he did the disrespect, after he did the mistreatment, I forgave him and he was able to come back from that. And even after, he disrespected me multiple times in the same way, with the same circumstances, he was always able to come back after that. Even to the point where now, as we sit on this dinner date and we're slurping spaghetti in front of each other, I still have his number. And if he wanted to text me, if he wanted to call me, if he wanted to reach out to me, he could. And realistically, if I'm being honest with myself, if he said the right words, I would probably entertain it and respond to him, okay? So obviously not all of you are saying all of that, but you're saying that in some sort of capacity where you're essentially saying after all of that disrespect and after all of that mistreatment, he still does have some sort of access to me, okay? He still does follow me on Instagram and I follow him because we're friends and everything's cool and we worked it out and we're in the same friend group and we want to keep it copacetic, whatever your reasoning is for that, right? And see, this is the funniest part. Now, what's actually tragic, but you're describing your relationship and he's now seeing it through his lens and he's going, quite interesting. Your relationship was filled with disrespect, filled with mistreatment, and on top of all of that disrespect and mistreatment, those guys or that guy was capable of coming back from it altogether. So, I'm better than that guy. I got a bigger schlong than him, more money than him, more resources than him. I'm so much more amazing than him. Why would I spend all my time, energy, and resources trying to be this most amazing guy when even if I'm a horrible guy who disrespects her and mistreats her, I'll still be able to come back from it. In fact, I'll probably still be able to have access to her as long as I want and as long as I play my cards right in the process of this disrespect and mistreatment. Now, obviously, guys aren't going out on dates with you thinking, oh my God, I can't wait to ruin her life and this will be the most amazing thing if I can give her the most horrible experience. That's not what they're thinking, but what they are thinking is, I can probably get away with a lot. So what do you think happens in the process of their relationship? They push and they push and they push and they push their limits to see how much they can continue to get away with, because you've set the precedent and the foundation that before you even get a chance to know me and experience what a relationship with me will be like, I'm already telling you how in the past I've allowed certain types of behavior and been okay with it and allowed them to come back from it. So before you even get a chance to realize that, I'm kind of giving you this secret ahead of time so that you can see that and know that. That way, when you mistreat me or disrespect me, you already know that I won't do anything about it. Okay, so that's the mistake here. Now, what we're trying to do instead, right? Because we're trying to change your tide. We're trying to get you in a different place in your life and a different place in your relationships. And we want you to get respect. So from the very beginning, I want you to talk about the disrespect, because obviously, there's going to be disrespect and there's going to be mistreatment. That's unavoidable. But I want you to talk very intensely about okay? You have to talk very intensely in your relationships, right? About your past relationships, about cutting people off. And what I mean by that is when I was in a relationship or a situationship in which this guy disrespected me, in which he mistreated me, in which he cheated on me, in which he went behind my back, he was messaging other girls, he was doing whatever the case may be. You, right after you describe that disrespect, right after you describe that mistreatment, you begin to describe how after you came to that realization that that level of disrespect was happening in your relationship, you immediately cut that man off from ever getting access to you again. This is so, so important. Because none of you are going to have, or obviously that's an ex that you're talking about. So none of us are going to have a perfect history of exes where, oh, all my relationships with my exes ended mutually because they were so amazing and so awesome, we just decided to be friends instead. No, obviously there's going to be some disrespect that happens at times. There's going to be some mistreatment. And for some of you, you might have broken up with that. You guys might have broken up because of the cheating or excessive, whatever it may be. Okay. And even in that scenario where you got done wrong or you got done dirty, I'm not advising you to lie about your situation, but you want to be very clear that people in your life that don't show up for you how you expect them to show up for you do not get multiple chances, okay? And you cut them off when they do make those mistakes, okay? Here's the other thing that I actually want you to get good at when you're telling people these horror stories, okay? I want you to start telling people when you're going out on dates with them and explaining to them, I don't really give people chances. Once I see bad behavior, I really am very quick to cut them off and let them go. So it doesn't take me 35, 45, 55, 75 times of getting cheated on before I realize I gotta let someone go out of my life. In fact, in a lot of situations, I let people go even earlier than 45 or 50th chance while they're still apologizing and begging for my forgiveness because I just tolerate that disrespect so little. Okay, this is great for you to say, because remember, you're gonna have situations, you're gonna have people that try you, and you're gonna have exes and past partners that have tried you in a relationship with you. You don't have to lie about it, but I do want you to paint a very clear visual, because men are always visualizing what your past relationships have been to compare themselves to your past partners and say, okay, I'm either able to meet them where they have been with their past partners, or I'm not capable of that, or that's definitely something I can go above and beyond and do even better than her past partners. So I say that to say these horror stories all need to sound like this. And you gotta make sure that you avoid making your stories sound like this. This is your very first opportunity when you go out on a date with the guy, whether you meet him on Hinge, Bumble, even though I don't advise dating apps, whether you go on Hinge, Bumble, a bar, whatever it may be, your first date with a man is your opportunity to let them know you deserve and demand respect in your relationships, okay? Even scratch the deserve part. You demand respect in your relationships. That is the only way men will get access to you. You want to start telling those stories from the very beginning. Now, I know some of you are probably asking me, well, Tomisin, that's great advice, but why can't I just tell him that I am someone that demands respect and that he needs to respect me and I need him to respect me in this relationship if he wants to be with me? I'm basically telling him the same thing, and I don't have to think about all these extra stories you're talking about. Like, I don't really want to go through a whole story time with the guy that I'm on a date with. I just want to tell him exactly how I feel, be upfront, and be open and honest. What's wrong with that type of communication? Here's the problem with that type of communication. As soon as you tell men, hey, I expect you to treat me correctly and do this and do that and do this and do that. One, you're going to have a lot of men who are going to push against that because they're going to feel like, oh, you're telling me to do this, you're telling me to do that, you're bossing me around. And you're going to have a lot of men who outwardly try to, what's the word I'm looking for, defy you simply because you try to tell them what to do, okay? So a lot of times it doesn't work that way. Now, the other thing that will happen is when you start demanding respect from some men, what they're going to attempt to do is challenge you, meaning not challenge you in the way of just being defiant, but I mean they're going to try to test you by saying, I'm going to call your bluff. You say you demand respect, but let's see how much respect you really demand. And they're going to try to test you throughout the relationship. You don't want to set yourself up for failure by talking to a guy and telling him, hey, you better respect me, you better do this, you better do that, you better feel this way, you better talk like that, because at the end of the day, you're not going to get what you want out of that man by doing this. Now, the passive, more indirect way to tell him that you need to respect me is by telling him stories about other people. Why? Because it's indirect. It's not telling him what he should do, but you're indirectly telling him, hey, if you don't want to end up in the same place, in the same graveyard as these other men, you better act a particular way that's not like this, okay? So when I'm telling you all the things that he did and how he ended up in the graveyard, you better be marking on your list and taking your own notes to know that's exactly what not to do, okay? So you're indirectly telling those men, hey, I only allow people in my life who approach me with respect, respect my boundaries, and don't act a damn fool, okay? Great way to set off your relationships from the very beginning. Why? Because you're always building a foundation from the very first date, from the very first meet, from the very first hangout. He's learning and understanding you and getting an understanding of who you are, how you operate, what's important to you, and what you're willing to deal with or not willing to deal with, okay? Very, very important for you to understand. All right, let me make sure that our TikTok chat is held up here properly, okay? So that's so important for you guys to understand. Does that make sense to you guys so far in point number one and why that is so important? Do you guys have any questions about any of those points? Okay, let me erase this. Now we're gonna hop into point number two, okay? So I wanna talk to you guys about something very interesting. Okay, so I want us to imagine a scenario together that's going to be very interesting. And in this scenario, I want you all to, this is participation time, so I want you all participating so that we can have an understanding of how we would operate here and how and why this is so important to get an understanding of. So let's imagine a scenario in which you have a coworker, okay? And your coworker is really upset about some of the things that have been going on at work. Let's say, for the sake of example, you guys get really low pay. Your pay isn't, equal to the market pay of everyone else that works in that position. Let's just say the conditions aren't very good. You guys have very slow laptops that make it very hard to do your jobs. Your boss is always yelling at you guys, always giving you tasks that are impossible to complete in that amount of time. And so your coworker goes up and makes a whole scene. He plans this whole thing out. He's going to stand up to your boss and he's going to tell your boss in front of the entire rest of the unit everything that's been going on. So he stands up to your boss and he starts yelling, okay? He starts yelling. He says, "Boss, why the hell have you been treating us like this? We can't stand for this anymore." He throws the laptop, okay, right? He starts throwing the laptop, right? He throws the laptop. He's like, "These laptops are slow. They don't work. They're inconvenient. This office," right? He throws papers around, right? He says, "This office is horrible." Okay, right? He screams, he's yelled, he's throwing a tantrum. He says, "We need better working conditions. Look, we can't even do this. We can't work right. We can't make any money. We're gonna walk out. We're gonna quit if you don't make these working conditions better. We deserve so much more than this. We deserve so much better than this." And he's going off. Okay, your coworker. And you're feeling the exact same way as your coworker. You just haven't said anything because you need this job and you don't want to get fired from this job. But you're so happy that your coworker is standing up to the boss and you're seeing, hey, I wonder what's going to happen. So let's say at the end of this whole rant, your coworker says, "I want a raise." Okay? That's the whole purpose of this tantrum, right? He wants a raise and he wants better pay. And you're like, "Oh my God, if my coworker does this and it works, I'm definitely going to do the same thing because I want a raise too. And I really want more pay at this job because I don't feel like I'm getting paid enough either." Now, let's say for the sake of example, when your coworker does this, after he yells, throws the laptop, throws a whole tantrum, and demands a raise and demands better working conditions, your boss says, "Great, that's awesome. John, can you and the rest of the security escort this man out and please take his badge, take his laptop, take anything that belongs to this office, make sure he doesn't leave with it, deactivate his key card and all his codes to get in any part of the building. And let's make sure to also get him offline of the Slack as well. Please escort him out." And your coworker gets fired immediately, and you never hear from that coworker again. Now, let's look at this here, and this is where I want you all to pay attention. Now, after experiencing that and seeing all of that happen, what are you most likely to do? Tell me, are you going to try and follow in his footsteps here, okay, of your coworker and see if you can do the same thing and maybe get a raise yourself? Or are you going to sit in your chair, shut the hell up, not say a word for the rest of the time you work there, and never attempt to ask for a raise or speak up for yourself ever again in that work environment? Which one are you going to do? Are you going to speak up and follow in your coworker's footsteps, or are you going to zip it and probably not say anything? Okay, this is where I want all of you participating because I want to see what you all have to say here. Okay, right? People said zip it, right? I wouldn't do anything. So the reason I ask you all that question, and I want to get an understanding of this, because part of the reason why a lot of you are inclined to not say anything, some people said find another job, I agree. One of the reasons you'll be inclined to not say anything is because you've had what's called a third person perspective of this exact situation, right? And I guess we could call it even a second person perspective. It's either second or third, one of the two. You get my gist. But you've had an outside perspective of what your coworker has done and what the results were for your coworker. And because you've been able to experience an outside perspective of someone trying to do what you wanted to do, and then you saw the result of what happened to your coworker after your coworker threw their tantrum, you now make a decision for yourself and say, if I don't want to end up jobless like my coworker, I probably shouldn't do the same things as my coworker did, yelling, throwing a laptop, talking about how the office is horrible and throwing a tantrum and asking for a raise. Now, I seen some of you even say in the chat, even though I didn't yet ask this question, I seen some of you say in the chat, because you're very smart cookies, I would probably go about it a different way. Okay, if I really wanted the raise and I really wanted to change the working conditions, I still, wanted to get that change, I would just try to do something different than my coworker. Now, that speaks to the same idea and the same concept. When you watch something not work out for someone else, it's very easy to make the decision within your own mind, I do not want to follow in that person's footsteps, okay? It's natural human nature type of thing. So, what you're more likely to do now is, because you've watched this happen to your coworker, you're more likely to be silent, right? You're more likely to probably do it different, right? And maybe if you're not willing to do it different or jump out on a ledge, you might just not say anything at all. But that all comes from your experience of watching what happens with your coworker. Now, the reason I bring up this example and this analogy for you guys to see here is because this is exactly and precisely what I want you to do in your relationships with the guys that you're dating. I want you to throw out, as time goes on, because the date just doesn't last 1 week or 1 day. This lasts over the course of time. And I want you to strategically get good at throwing coworkers out, right? And allowing him to see firsthand situations that happen with you and a friend, you and a family member, you and a coworker, you and anyone in your life that comes across you where they try you. And trust me, those of you who are thinking, oh, well, nobody's tried. People will try you. It's going to happen all the time, okay? So don't worry, that time will come. And when someone tries you, I want you to keep him updated on what's happening and what's transpiring. I want you to keep him in the loop of your life and what's going on with you. That way, you can use this as an example, a first-hand example that he can see in real time of someone trying you, trying to play. And it doesn't always have to be a romantic partner. It can be a friend. It can be a girlfriend. Like I said, it can be a family member. It can be someone that tries to overstep a boundary. It can be someone that tries to, put you in a position that's inappropriate. It could be someone that tries to take advantage of you, whatever it may be in any capacity, okay? It just has to be someone that tries you. What we want from that situation is we want to give your man or the guy you're talking to an opportunity to see firsthand what it looks like when a coworker throws a tantrum, throws the laptop, talks about how horrible this office is, and essentially tries you, okay? And when they try you, you say, no, I'm putting my foot down. If you're gonna cross my boundary, if you're gonna try to disrespect me, if you're not gonna show up for me in my life or in our relationship or in our friendship in a way that doesn't work for me, you will get fired, okay? You will go right out the door and we're gonna deactivate your key card. We do not take disrespect here. If someone's going to approach me and be in my life, they're either going to do it the right way or they're not going to do it at all. And I feel no ways about that. This is perfect. Because just like in the example that I gave you guys, where now that you see your coworker do it, you're like, oh, I don't want to end up like my coworker, so I'm probably just not going to say anything. Or at the very least, I'm going to go about it a different way. It's the very same thing. When the guys see this and they see that you're willing to cut people off or take things seriously when people try to approach you with disrespect or they try to disregard you or take advantage of you, and you put your foot down and you step on that and you don't feel sorry about that, from the very beginning, you're showing him now, because remember, before you were telling him horror stories. That was one. Now this is two, where you're now giving him an actual third, or I guess we could say second person perspective, where he's able to have firsthand knowledge in real time of someone trying you and trying to take advantage of you, even if it's not in a romantic sense, and you putting your foot down and saying, no, I'm actually not going to take this disrespect. Then the men say, oh boy, yeah, she's not one of those. Yeah, like I like her, and I really do think she's amazing, but I see she has no problem saying no. So I'm gonna probably rethink, messing around with her or just going behind her back or trying to give her the runaround, because clearly it doesn't work on her, okay? And you're probably thinking, Tomisin, are guys really paying attention to all this stuff? Do they really even care about any of this? Why don't I just wear a red dress, red lipstick, and have a huge dump truck? I feel like that's what guys actually care about. That's all they think about. They don't think about any of this stuff that you're talking about. They do. Because when guys are dating women, they're constantly learning, what can I get away with or not get away with this woman? Eventually, as time goes on, they learn if you're someone they can play around with and mess around with. Why? And as they learn that, they then realize, okay, now I can extract and extract and extract from this person while I go around and do what I really want to do, knowing that I don't ever have to worry about this relationship ending or the situationship ending because this girl's desperate, because this girl's needy, because this girl wants my validation, because she really likes me. I don't have to worry about this relationship or putting my best foot forward in this relationship. And so the men don't do that. All they do is take and take and take and take and take from you, and you get nothing. Okay? So we don't want that for you, and we don't want that happening to you in your relationship. So we got to make sure that in this third person perspective, he gets an opportunity to see what doesn't work in your, what you don't go for and what you're not willing to deal with. Okay? So does that make sense to all of you so far, and why that is so important? Okay? Let's go to our next point here, and we'll discuss. Okay? So, in our next point, okay, that's number 3. In our next point, okay, I want us to discuss this because a lot of you make this mistake. And this is very not good. Do not allow yourself to fall victim to gateway drugs. Okay? Now, this might sound funny, but this is very serious. This is actually stop pooping time, okay? Meaning if you're on the toilet and you're pooping, snip off your poop. If you're in your bed, laying down, take your hand out of your pants, okay? Do not allow yourself to fall victim to gateway drugs. They will always get you messed up. Remember, you're here for 2 things. You want respect and you want fear. Meaning, you want him to respect your boundaries, respect whatever it is you stand for and stand on. He respects that. And you also want him to be in fear of the fact that if he doesn't treat you right or approach you the proper way in this relationship, you will gladly walk away from him. Those are the 2 things you're most concerned about. Gateway drugs will send you down a very, very, very dark path. Why? Because when you say yes to gateway drugs, you make this so much easier for you to say yes to the next thing and the next thing and the next thing, and all of a sudden you are in a bad place. Let me give you an analogy and then we're going to discuss this more in depth, okay? So let's say you are going out and you say, let's say today you're so tired of getting drunk all the time. You don't like going out with your friends and feeling hungover. You got something very important to do tomorrow morning, but you do want to hang out with your friends. So tonight you're going out to the club, but you say, I'm not drinking. Gonna stay sober tonight. Gotta get up early. I got a work thing. Then I gotta go to a family thing. Then I gotta go here. And then I gotta go there. And so I got a busy day, gotta get up early, gotta be focused, gotta be sharp. I can't be hung over. So tonight when we go out, guys, I'm not drinking. You go out. But tonight, when you go out to the bar, it's an amazing night, okay? Everyone's out on the strip. It's a warmer night than usual. It's perfect. It's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees. You don't got no N-word, and no N-word doesn't have me, okay? So that's the situation you're in. Very good night. The music is perfect. The DJ is perfect. Everyone is perfect for whatever reason tonight when you go out. Everyone is good looking. Everyone looks like a supermodel. And on top of that, today when you went out, you were having a perfect hair day. You were having your perfect makeup day. Let's say the new Fenty foundation you tried on today was absolutely perfect. The way it highlighted your face was absolutely perfect. Your hair was absolutely perfect. Let's say today you lost an extra 3 pounds, so your dress fits even better. And now your dump truck looks even better. And you went and got, did legs today. So now you've got a glute pump, so your dump truck looks even more amazing. And everything is perfect for tonight when you go out. But remember, you're not drinking, right? But you go out and you and your friends are having so much fun. All the supermodel men in the club are approaching you. That Glorilla song is playing so loud, so hard. You can literally feel that 808 beat pumping through your chest. You're like, oh my God, I want to go crazy. I just want to go crazy. And your girlfriend comes up to you. She says, hey, I'm having a great time. This is so awesome. This is so amazing. These guys over here, these other supermodel guys, they told me they think you're so beautiful. Your dump truck is so voluptuous. You look like a Victoria's Secret model. They said they wanted to buy all of us a round of drinks, all of us. Based on the fact that you're so beautiful, he said, whoever she's with, we're buying drinks for all of you. So it's a round for all of us. Do you want to come and take a shot? But you said you're not drinking. But you said you're all good tonight. But you said you have a whole lot of other stuff to do tonight. But it's 7 p.m. Friday. It's 95 degrees. So what are you going to do? You say, you know what, tonight tonight we're having fun. We're having fun. We're having fun. So tonight I'll take one drink. It's okay. You think I'm beautiful. You think I'm amazing. I am having a perfect hair day today. I'm having a perfect makeup day today. My dump truck, I do got a pump going on, so I get what and it is a really amazing. What? One drink. One drink is not gonna. I'll be fine. I'll have one drink. I'm not gonna get a hangover. I'll don't do one drink. Okay. But then, when you take the one drink, now you're feeling good. You're feeling loosey-goosey. When that Glorilla playing, you feeling even better about it. Now they playing Sexy Red, okay? 5'5", caramel skin, on this bitch at 10, I'm a son, no new friends, catch me sliding in the Benz. And now you're like, damn, I want to get on that stage. I want to shake up a storm up there. Your blood starts rushing, that sugar starting going through your veins. And then your friend comes up to you again and she says, girl, these guys won't leave me alone. They want you so bad. They want you so bad. They want you and me to come over there and take a couple more shots. And you're like, oh, I said I wasn't going to drink today. But that Sexy Red is playing. You know what? It's fine. Just a couple more shots. So now you got 2 in you. 2 more in you. You've got 3. But now that you've got 3 in you, you're really starting to feel it. And the sugar and the alcohol is going straight to your veins. You're feeling real good now. So now you and the guys are having conversation and you're really getting to know them and you're like, these are some really cool guys. And they just so happen to be really rich. So they're having fun, you're having fun, your friends are having fun. And all of a sudden, now you guys are chilling at the bar and they want to buy a bottle. So they're like, nah, F this. We like you guys so much, we buying a bottle. So now 3 drinks turns into, why did I draw that like that? 3 more drinks. And that turns into 2 more drinks. And all of a sudden, you're drunk now. Having a great time, shaking your booty, listening to Sexy Red, listening to Glorilla, having that bass through your chest. and the guy that really likes you, that looks like a supermodel, that's super rich, he's grinding up on you in the club. But remember, you said you weren't drinking. Then you wake up tomorrow morning and you have a whole bunch of stuff to do. And when you wake up out of your like drowsy sleep, you're like, what's going on? What day is it today? Oh my God, I have all this stuff to do. You look at your phone and it's 1 p.m. You've missed basically half the stuff that you have to do. You have 13 missed calls. You have 14 text messages, and you have 15 emails. You missed work, you missed this other thing you're supposed to do, and you missed this other thing you're supposed to do. But yesterday started out with, I'm not drinking. Now, I know some of you are thinking to yourself, Tomisin, what does any of this have to do with my relationships or the guys talking to me or even my respect? This is so abstract and this literally is unrelated. Let me tell you how it's related. See, the thing about it is you're going to make the same mistakes a lot of times in your relationships with men. Okay? And someone just mentioned it here, Mariana just mentioned it about as it relates to boundaries and as it relates to saying yes to the smaller things, not realizing that saying yes to those smaller things makes it easier to say yes to the next thing. There's a very particular reason why I explained that scenario the way that I explained it. I know that it was funny, but here's the thing. When you have the first drink isn't actually just about the first drink. The first drink is about making it easier to take the second drink. And the second drink isn't just about the second drink. The second drink is about making it easier to say yes to the third drink, and so on and so on and so on. And every time you say yes to the one thing, you're just making it easier for yourself to say yes to the next thing. So if you just never drank in the first place, the easiest time it was for you to say no was before you took a single drink. That was the hardest decision. Every single time after that, the decision became easier and easier and easier and easier. And so I say that to say, when you allow yourself gateway drugs, now this is where we're going to get in depth into it, this is where you'll start making mistakes. So what are some gateway drugs that I'm referring to? The gateway drugs that I'm referring to is like, for example, telling a guy, hey, I'm not going to sleep with you on the first night, okay? I don't do that. I'm not that type of girl. But you have fun with him. You guys are having a good time. You go back to his place. You guys are having some more wine, some more drinks. And then all of a sudden, your legs are spread wide open. And now instead of him penetrating you, he's eating you out. Okay, I know that's graphic. I hope the under 20-year-old people are gone. Okay? And your pants are at your ankles or off, and his face is buried in between your legs. So yeah, theoretically, you didn't sleep with him. But also, you've given him the impression that when you say something, there's ways around it, and it's not really like a hard, fast rule. If I, bring something up as a boundary, we can, it can be massaged, and we can find a way around it. Maybe we'll do something different instead. Remember, I told you at the very beginning, you're always setting the precedent for the rest of your relationship from the very beginning. Now, I know you're thinking, Tomisin, this is so stressful, so I can't have any fun. No, you can have fun. But what you need to understand is in the process of having fun, you need to make sure you're representing yourself how you want to represent yourself so that you have the proper amount of control and power in the future of that relationship, because that relationship isn't just about the fun you're going to have in that moment. It's also about the consequences for the fun you're having in that moment. See, you can live life for present you, or you can live life for future you, because future you is the most happy when you're able to have power in your relationship, when you're able to stand up for yourself in your relationship, when you have respect in your relationship, and when your man actually does the things necessary for you in the relationship to treat you right. Are you following what I'm saying? That is your long-term future happiness. But your short-term happiness is just having fun in the moment. However, when you get drunk after saying I'm not drinking, when you allow these gateway drugs to get you off track or to make it seem like you're not serious when you say things, right? Or guys don't have to take you serious when you say things. Now, all of a sudden, in the future, when you say, I'm not drinking again to your friends, what do your friends start thinking? Guys, don't worry. We just got to make the mood right and she'll get drunk again. Because she said this before, I'm not drinking, and we seen what happened last time she said that, right? Same way in your relationships, right? You'll say, oh, I'm not sleeping with you, we're not doing anything. And then when you open your legs and he's eating you out that same night, sure, he didn't sleep with you, but he's thinking in his mind, yeah, she said one thing, but I still got her to do some stuff that she probably wouldn't have regularly done with most guys. Okay, so it all works out the same way because they start to see it as, oh, you know what, I don't really have to respect those boundaries. On top of that, on top of not having to respect the boundaries, later on, every time you are allowing yourself to taste this gateway drug over and over again, remember, part of the danger as well is the fact that you make it easier to say yes to the next thing. So what's going to happen is maybe on the first night you don't sleep with him. Cool, that's great, that's awesome. But you do allow him to eat you out. Then on the second night, now he's doing the same thing. He's also got his fingers in places. He's got his hands in other places. He might even have his thumb in some places. You're having fun. You got your hands moving. You got your feet moving. Maybe you got your mouth moving, and so on and so on and so forth until you're doing everything but that thing. But you know what happens is every time you participate in that, maybe one time you're really enjoying it. Maybe one time it's so amazing. Maybe one time you can't believe how much he's blowing your mind or you're blowing his mind and you're thinking, damn, maybe I should just forget about everything I said I was going to do. I said I wasn't going to drink tonight, but maybe I should just let that go and have some fun, right? Because of that gateway drug. And then as soon as you do that, you're drunk, or you're making mistakes, okay, in the scenario with these gateway drugs. And when you make that mistake, now all of a sudden you can't be taken seriously for the future of your relationship with that guy because you allowed yourself to go back on your word and what you said you weren't gonna do, okay? Kitty said just the tip, precisely. And that's the major mistake you make because at the end of the day, yes, you had fun. Yes, you enjoyed yourself. And I'm not saying you shouldn't have fun and enjoy yourself. But when you go back on your word and when you have boundaries and those boundaries are no longer boundaries after a while, now all of a sudden it makes it look like you don't mean things when you say it. And so the guys that are in relationships with you or building with you start to take you as a joke. So when you say things, it goes in one ear and out the other. When you set boundaries, it goes in one ear and out the other. And you just become a joke for the rest of the relationship. Then when you really want something from him, or when you really want to set a serious boundary, now all of a sudden he doesn't take you seriously. Now all of a sudden he doesn't make an adjustment. You're going to be very, very, very frustrated. Because now when it's serious to you, he doesn't know that it's serious and he needs to make an adjustment. So now you don't know what to do, okay? Does that make sense to all of you so far and why that is so, so, so important? Okay, no gateway drugs. If you're in a situation where you like a guy and you're starting to feel like maybe I can just do the one thing that's not like the thing I set the boundary on, it's a mistake because it makes it easier to just eventually say yes to what you weren't trying to say yes to, okay? So the second thing that I want to discuss with you all is how to punish men with indifference. Now, I want you to understand that indifference and attention is like currency. So the example that I'm going to give you guys and the analogy that I'm going to give you guys so you can understand why this is so important is the example of a bank account, okay? So let's say in your bank account, there is sitting $10,000, okay? You get money. Now, let's say on an average month, at any point in time, there will be $10,000 sitting in your bank account. But let's also say on an average month, you spend $8,000 a month, okay? So by the time you do your rent, by the time you do your groceries, by the time you do your Uber Eats, by the time you do your transportation and your Ubers and all that good stuff, you spend around $8,000 a month. But you make $10,000 a month steady, and that cash flow be coming in, all right? So obviously, you're spending a lot of money. You're not really saving a lot. But you also make a lot. So you never really take notice to the fact that you're spending a lot because of how much you're making. Now, imagine, remember, every month you're depositing 10K into that account, so it replenishes itself and you don't really have to worry about spending that 8K, right? It's not really a big deal. But let's imagine all of a sudden you stop making money, so you stop getting a reoccurring $10,000 every month. Now, you're minusing 8K 1 month. Okay, cool. You still have 2,000 left. But now on the next month, you're minusing 8K, but there's no 10K coming in. So now you're in credit card debt 6K. And now you're still spending money and you're minus 6K. So now after you spend another 8,000, right, and minus another 8,000, you're in credit card debt once again, right? $14,000. Okay, just that fast, right? Because obviously the reoccurring $10,000 that was coming into your bank account is no longer there, and you're still spending that same $8,000 a month. Your expenses haven't changed. Now, the reason I'm showing you this and helping you understand, because I know some of you guys are like, what the hell does this mean? I don't understand. You teaching us credit now? Here's the thing. What you have to understand is every time that you're in a relationship with a guy and you are showing him hatred or love, one of the two, okay? I hate you so much. You're the worst person ever. Why do you do this? I want to slash your tires. I'm going to bleach your clothes. I'm going to throw all your Jordans in the trash. I'm going to burn your clothes. I'm going to, delete all your Instagrams and I don't know, ruin your business, whatever you want to do to him, okay? I'm going to throw out your cameras so you can't stream anymore. I hate you so much. You're actually depositing money into this bank, okay? You're depositing money into this bank because what you don't realize is attention is currency, okay? What I want you to understand is that every time you show him a hatred, every time you tell him how he needs to fix this and you plead and you beg and you're hysterical and you cry and you go crazy, you're depositing money into this bank. And you want to know how he's spending it? Not on you. He's spending it on other things and himself and maybe even other people. Meaning he's taking that energy and that attention that you're depositing into him, and he's not giving you attention back. He's actually keeping all that attention for himself, which is why I say attention is currency. Every time you show him hatred, you go crazy. You're depositing money into that bank account that he gets to spend. So until you finally stop depositing that $10,000 a month into that bank account, that it can be depleted, right? Because the only time you're going to realize you need to probably change the amount of money you're spending a month is when you realize you've been spending so much that you're now in credit card debt. Okay, I should have put a minus there, right? That you're actually in credit card debt now, right? That's when you're going to know I need to make an adjustment to my expenses each and every month. I can't keep spending that same amount. It's the same concept with the men that you're dating. When you stop depositing your $10,000 a month in attention currency into his bank account, that is the only time he starts to notice, hey, maybe I need to make a change and I need to make an adjustment in our relationship. Maybe I probably should stop acting that way and figure out what's wrong so our relationship can return to a homeostasis state, okay? Maybe I need to stop, taking and extracting from her so much, and I need to treat her better in this relationship. So the reason that I'm bringing this up is because I want you to understand how important it is to punish men with indifference. Because when you do that, that's when you actually stop depositing money into his bank account. And every time you're going crazy on men, begging and pleading with them, right? Because remember, today's show is about how to get respect from men, but one of the mistakes you're going to make while trying to attempt to get respect from men is trying to beg or plead them or convince them that they should respect you. That doesn't work, okay? Or go crazy or throw a tantrum until they respect you. That doesn't work. What does work is showing them indifference so that you can stop depositing that money into his bank account. And only when you stop depositing that money into his bank account will he realize he needs to make a change or make an adjustment in your relationship and stop treating you that way. Are you following what I'm saying? Because men do not perceive a hatred and indifference the same way. See, when you're indifferent, meaning when you just say, I don't care. If you're going to do that, go ahead and do that. I don't notice and I don't care and I don't bother to care. I'm not giving you any of my energy and I'm not even going to speak up for anything. I'm just going to withdraw myself and withdraw my energy from you. You're not going to hear from me. I'm not going to speak to you. I'm not going to message you. And you're definitely not going to feel like I'm the same person or that I even like you anymore. That is when those men get worried, because you stop depositing money into their bank account. You stop giving them that attention currency that we're all looking for. And when you get good at that and understanding how to stop depositing that attention currency, that's when you start to see a change or a difference in the people that you are dating, okay? Because remember, what you're trying to do here is you're trying to demand respect. And you're never going to do that by begging people to respect you. You're going to do that by showing people when they don't respect you, there are consequences for that. I will stop depositing attention currency into your bank account if you continue to show me disrespect. Are we all on the same page? Okay. Let's go to our last point here that we shall discuss. So important. All right. Hope that all makes sense to all of you here. And we're going to be taking questions in a bit. All right. So in our last point, that is so important. You want the men that you're dating to be begging you for redemption, okay? Now, okay, what I want you to understand is men are always perceiving. And what I mean by perceiving is they're perceiving how they can treat you and what their experience is with you after they treat you a particular way. So let's talk about experience, okay? So when a guy is experiencing pleasure, pleasure, okay? Versus, right, when he's experiencing pleasure, what is he going to be saying to himself? Let me write this properly. Sorry, this is going to make me mad. When a guy is experiencing pleasure, he's going to be saying to himself, hey, I'm experiencing pleasure, and now that I'm experiencing that and I had that enjoyment, every time he thinks back to that experience, he's going to be thinking, wow, that was so good, that was so awesome, I had such a great time. So because he experienced pleasure, right, he's going to be thinking, okay? He's going to be thinking, I want to do it again, right? If I experience pleasure while doing it, or I experience pleasure from doing it, then my memory will be, that was great, that was awesome, and I'm going to want to do it again. Now, the reason I'm breaking this down to you is because you got to make it very, very non-pleasurable for men when they're dating you, okay? So let's look at it from the opposite perspective as well, okay? So let's imagine instead of the experience being pleasurable, right? The experience for him is painful, meaning whenever he thinks back to it, whenever he experienced it, it was very hard, very difficult for him. He didn't like it. He didn't like the experience he had. He had to go through it. He had to cry. It was traumatic. And every time he thinks about it, it's such a bad thought, okay? He wants to cry. Now, in his thoughts, when he thinks about this situation, he's going to think, don't do it again. Now, I know that this concept Sounds so simple. Because you're thinking, yeah, if you like it, do it again. If you don't like it, don't do it again. But here's the problem. Remember, I just told you, you show men indifference when you actually want them to make a change. But if you're showing them attention by giving them all that hatred and going crazy and going hysterical, you're depositing money into that bank account and you're actually showing him pleasure instead of showing him pain. So when he thinks back to the experience of how crazy you went when he did something to you, he's now thinking, damn, that girl's crazy. She must really like me. She must really want me. That was a real good ego boost for me. And then he starts thinking, I should probably do that thing again. Or it probably isn't that bad because when I did it, she went crazy. And I reminded myself how much she likes me and how much she wants me. So what I want you to start doing, right, is I want you to start making men in your life that disrespect you or disregard you or mistreat you to start having to beg for redemption. The reason I want you to make them beg for redemption is because I want them to have a painful experience disrespecting you. That way they can start associating that with pain and know I should probably stop doing that. When you show them indifference and when you make them work so hard to get back in your good graces, it's a clear example of, hey, you do a bad thing, you get punished for it. And when you get punished for it, it's even going to be difficult to return to the state that you were in before. You can't make guys feel like, even if it's a little bit painful, that after a while, you know, all he has to do is say sorry to you a couple of times. And when he says sorry to you a couple of times, everything will be fine again very quickly and, and not in due time, right? You don't want to make men feel like they'll be able to get access to you easily just by simply apologizing to you. Okay, and once they apologize, they say sorry, they say they don't want to do it again, then you take them back and everything's fine. You want the experience to feel like I had to stand outside your door. I had to stand outside of your window, throw rocks at it, hold a boombox up to it, and tell you how much I love you. Tell you how much I want to make a change. Tell you how much I want to make an adjustment, just for you to consider taking me back. I had to go through so much to recover from the mistake that I made of disrespecting you, that now that I'm finally back, I will never do that again. Never do that again. Okay? And that's why this is so amazing, because none of this requires you to tell a man, hey, I need you to disrespect me. Or sorry, I need you to disrespect me. I need you to respect me. Or, hey, I want you to act this way. Or I want you to act that way. In fact, none of what we discuss here is ever about telling men what they should or shouldn't do. What you're doing is showing them what they should or shouldn't do. And in their experiences with you, when they don't act the way that you want them to act, you then show them what type of pain they will endure if they don't show up for you the way that you expect them to show up for you. And by the time they are ready to apologize, or they're ready to make a change, or they're ready to make an adjustment, you don't even have to ask anything from them. Are you following what I'm saying? Because what we want for you is, even if the guy that you're dating makes a mistake, even if the guy that you're dating disrespects you on accident or in a smaller way, we want him begging for your redemption, so that when he comes to you and he says, hey, I know that I made a mistake and I did something wrong and I know that I should have acted better, he already knows I need to make an adjustment. He already knows I made a mistake. He already knows I was in the wrong. That way, you never have to tell him. You never have to ask this of him. And also, that way, he never gets an opportunity to defend himself and say, well, you're wrong. I didn't treat you wrong. I treated you right. You just took it the wrong way. Because that's what's always going to happen when you, instead of allowing guys to beg for redemption, when you say, hey, you should be sorry for what you did, guys immediately start defending themselves and say, no, I shouldn't. I actually didn't even do you wrong. I actually did this instead, or it was that, or it was this. And so you never end up getting an apology out of him, and he never even ends up feeling sorry about what he did. He just ends up saying, you don't know what you're talking about. But when men have to beg for their redemption, when men have to beg to get that access to you again, and they're in a lot of pain because they're like, damn, I must have effed up and I might have lost her forever, they say to themselves, look, I know I did wrong, and I know how I did wrong, and I also know how we're going to fix this. And just that fast, shockingly and surprisingly, men are smart and intelligent enough to come up with a way to fix the situation or do better in the relationship without you having to beg and tell them and plead for this thing, okay? Does that make sense to all of you beautiful people? Do you guys have any questions about the 5 that we just discussed today, okay? So number 1 was horror stories. Number 2 was the third person perspective. Number 3 was no gateway drugs. Number 4, to punish with indifference. And number 5, beg for redemption. Okay? Does that make sense to all of you? Okay. Someone asked earlier in the chat, they said, how should we do this? Oh, there it is. There's the question right there. How about narcissists? Is there redemption from them? I am not ever going to advise any of you to be dating narcissists. So that there should be no question about that. I'm not saying that that was a bad question, but I'm just saying my advice to you is don't date a narcissist, okay? If you recognize that someone is a narcissist, you should not be dating that person. Not figuring out how does this apply if you're in a relationship with a narcissist, okay? Because a lot of things won't be working for you if you're in a relationship with a narcissist. Oh, by the way, for those of you who are like, please, can you repeat all the points? Give me a brief summary. Don't you worry. All of the information is saved, safe for you on my YouTube channel, okay? So go on my YouTube channel. It's right above my head on the top right of the screen. Go on, my name is just Tomisin Atapatella. Go on my YouTube channel and you're gonna see me live there at the exact same time. Watch the stream there and you can rewind it. You can see all the points and it's gonna be saved there for you forever to rewatch and rewatch and rewatch. So for those of you who are on TikTok, don't think that you missed out on this if I don't repeat the points or anything like that. You still have access to this on my YouTube channel. Don't you worry at all, okay? Does that make sense? Someone says, are we following the same rules if the guy is just a friend? Well, here's the thing. Why? Okay, you should want respect from even your friends as well. But are you talking about he's just a friend from the perspective of he's just a friend for now and I eventually want to date him? Because that's not a friendship, okay? I don't advise you all to be in fake friendships where you're with a guy as friends, but you actually want to date him. That's not a friendship, okay? That's something else, all right? Does that make sense? Carmen says, how do you know if he's a narcissist? I actually have a whole show on clues if someone's a narcissist. So go on my YouTube channel and watch that show titled How to Spot Narcissist Early or something like that, okay? Right? Pink Ponk says, what if he feels indifferent to me leaving him? Then that means that guy never cared about you in the first place, or he just doesn't care enough for your relationship to matter, in which case you're actually doing yourself a favor. And that way you're actually getting rid of someone in your life quicker before you start investing in someone who doesn't even want to be with you. Because the natural occurrence of things is if a guy likes you and wants to be in a relationship with you and you withdraw from him, he's not going to like that because he should want you and want to be in a relationship with you. So if that guy doesn't care when you withdraw from him, that means he just never cared about you. In which case, it's actually a win for you because you just got to get rid of someone out of your life that didn't care for you in the first place, okay? Right? Right? Does that make sense? Someone says TED Talks are too short for Tommy. Yeah, maybe one day I'll be on a TED Talk talking about this stuff, okay? Does that make sense? Azina says, can we change no contact after doing some of these mistakes? Well, you should be the one doing the no contact, and if you're in no contact, you don't budge until he reaches out to you for redemption. If you are in no contact with someone and you're doing it so that you can kind of flip the script and they never message you, never reach out to you, it's done. You don't do no contact and then eventually say, okay, it's been enough days, I'm gonna reach out to you now. That doesn't make sense. You're gonna lose all your power, okay? Does that make sense? Ping Pong says, what if he says you love me and you will make a huge mistake and feel sorry? Doesn't matter, okay? People say all things all the time, okay? If he's trying to threaten you and say that, oh, you're gonna feel bad if you let me go or let this relationship go, buddy, you're in control here. So if you actually want this relationship, you'll reach out to me and you'll do what's necessary for the relationship, okay? He's the man. It's not your job to be, running around with a chicken, like a chicken with your head cut off, to try to do more things for him so that he can treat you. Doesn't make sense. That doesn't make sense, okay? Right? Amira says, can you do a live advice about a long-term relationship? I actually did one. So go on my YouTube channel and type in my first name. Just type in Tomisin long distance relationships. And I've actually done a whole show on just long distance relationships. So you guys can have that as well, okay? Now, I'll tell you, long distance relationships are very difficult and I don't advise them, okay? All right, chat, let's hop into, oops, that was kind of loud. Let's hop into our next segment of the day, okay? Our next segment is going to be our react segment. So spam up your headphone emojis, spam up your camera emojis, and spam up your baby oil emojis, because we're going to be watching this thing live in HD here, okay? We're going to be reacting some TikTok stuff along the way. Now, while I get set up, while I put my chair back and all this stuff, rearrange everything so it's nice and smooth for you guys, I'm gonna play a little video for you guys that comes from today's video that we're gonna watch. Is gonna come from a YouTuber called Steven Speaks, okay? So we're gonna watch Steven Speaks while I get set up, and I'll be back with you guys momentarily. Stay right there.
So of course, that doesn't sound bad at all. There's nothing wrong with that. Who doesn't want a man as a woman that actually values your voice, values your input? And a man should care about that. And again, I would say that if he does love you, he will. And so with that, he's going to consult with you about things. He's going to want to tell you about things he has planned. He's going to, let's just say what's coming to mind right now. Let's say he wants to buy a new car. He'll want to see what you think. What kind of car do you like? What would you think is a good car for him to get? Now, please understand this. This doesn't automatically mean just because he values your opinion that every man who loves you will always take your opinion. Wanting it and implementing it are two different things. But he will want it. But here is how it can now cross over into a problematic area. Because as for a lot of men, when they're in love, when they're truly into a woman, even for some it could be infatuation, this strong desire to impress the woman, to want her approval, all these things, pushes him into an area where now he may struggle to make decisions without your input. Now, again, on the surface, that may sound okay. But when you start to examine relationships, and that's what I do for a living, so I've gotten to see it from various angles, it can become tiresome sometimes for some women when he's unable to do things without her hands being on it. All right? And again, it may not even be that he is not capable. It's just that he is trying so hard to make sure that she is included to the point where he loses sight of how he needs to lead in some situations. Now, we can discuss, a man leading in general relationship, but we're not going to focus on that. We're just saying that at the very least, there are going to be times where you want him to go, just handle it. Like you don't even want that burden. But again, he's crossing that line because he wants to include you, as well as because he's trying so hard to impress and be what you want and be what you like because he's so into you. And again, it's not that he doesn't love you. He does not know how to handle his love for you. He loses himself in that process. He starts to become more passive because he's defaulting to you or, everything's about you. And for a lot of women, that can start to become unattractive. Now, there may be some of you who say, nah, I'm good. If he does that, I love it. I'm with it. Sign me up. But that's not always the case. And I guess for this specific point, I'm speaking to those of you that it can cross an unattractive line, so to speak. And I think it's important to discuss these things and the things that I'm going to mention later on the list, because I've seen so many potentially great relationships fall apart because, again, people don't know how to handle their love for each other. And more specifically, when we're talking about men, the way that I like to frame it or label it is that men don't know how to love within their masculine, or men struggle to, a lot of men, all right? Because they have not been taught that. Because the other thing that I think women have to understand about a man who is in love, because the reality is so many of you have been exposed to men who aren't in love, men who just want to have fun, men who only want to use you, that you may not really get what's happening to the guy who has real feelings. And this guy, again, because he is not used to having these types of emotions and thoughts and desires for a woman, he does not know how to properly manage it in a way that it doesn't become a little, again, unattractive. And this is where I say he has to learn how to love in his masculine, almost love with a poise to him, love with an understanding of balance to the situation, love with understanding that you still, for most women, if not all, still desire that masculine energy from him. But yes, you want that loving,
Our React segment, okay? Now, let's pull up our proper React segment here, and we're going to start reacting to some amazing clips from around town on the TikTok sphere, okay? By the way, you guys can send me in different clips simply by mentioning me on TikTok or sending it into our Discord in Tomisin React. So let's get into our first one. Oops.
Write down everything.
How do you know if a Toronto girl is cheating?
What is going on? Sorry.
You need to.
When you are talking to your partner about feelings.
Sorry, it's this one.
You need to develop an ick for men who don't give you princess treatment. Like, he doesn't adore me and want to treat me like a queen? Get out of my face, you freak! There is nothing to like about a guy who doesn't see you as his little angel baby princess and is eager to please you. Men who aren't obsessed over you and want to please you are like wild animals that can't be tamed. You'll be projecting the things you want them to do, the things you want them to be, and the relationship you want to have, and they won't do it. They need to actively adore you. If it's passive, if it's like, oh, I just kind of like her, guess what? You are a servant girl. You exist to please him, and he's doing nothing for you. There is no upside to a relationship like this. At some point, you have to ask yourself, wait, why do I like a guy who isn't actively pursuing me and doing anything for me? Goofy, tacky, weird girl, you're in your servant girl energy, you're not in your queen energy. I talked about this on Instagram, and some wild pygmisha responded to me and said, this is just gonna breed narcissism in women. Men are allowed to have all these requirements for what they're looking for in a wife and all this stuff, and they'll use women who don't fit those requirements and then toss them in the trash and marry a woman who comes along who does meet those requirements. But if a woman has requirements for a man to actually pursue her and do stuff for her, she's suddenly a narcissist. No, you shouldn't be dating a man unless he gives you princess treatment, period. You need to develop an...
I think also even deeper than that as well, what you want to start doing is, and I've advised you guys to do this before, is start writing down your list of things that are most important to you in a relationship. So of course, yeah, I mean, princess treatment, that's like a basic one that a lot of us want, and a lot of us you don't want to have in a, I say a lot of you want to have in a relationship with a guy that you're dating. Nothing wrong with that. But even deeper than that, you have your own individual needs that are super important to you based on the type of human being that you are. So let me give you an example of that. Let's just say, for the sake of example, you're someone who you have been evicted before, I don't know, in your family, and you really need someone that has their finances together. Not that someone that's necessarily rich, but knows what they're doing, because you don't ever want to be in a position where, you'll get kicked out of the house and things like that. So you might need someone not only that has money, but is like financially literate, like knows how to pay bills, that knows how to do things on time, that doesn't, fall victim to being in credit card debt because they forget to pay bills or they forget to manage this or manage that, right? And that might be a specific need of yours in a relationship, right? I'm just using that as an example to help you understand we all have, aside from our basic needs and like the general ones, our own specific things unique to us that are really big criteria necessary for us to be in a healthy relationship. It's a little bit different for all of us. And so you need to figure out what that is for you. Build your list before you start dating. That way, when you start dating, instead of you spending a whole bunch of time asking yourself, does he like me? Does he want me? Does he want to be with me? You start asking yourself, does he fit my criteria of the type of guy I'm looking for? Then after I answer that question, I'll ask myself, do I really like him? Is he cool? Is he cute? And things like that, right? And your answers become very easy in your life when you're in your dating stages, because they're either yes or they're no. So instead of you being confused and you being in limbo and you letting guys play you, your answers are either yes, he fits my criteria and I'm going to stay talking to him, or no, he doesn't fit my criteria and I'm going to leave him in the dust. Okay?
How do you know if a Toronto girl is cheating?
Yo, Kursky, if the shorty's taking too long to respond, fam, she's
Who sent this to me? Clearly, you guys know I live in Toronto, and if you know me, you should know I hate this Toronto accent. I hate this with a passion.
shorty's taking too long to respond, fam. She's definitely cheating, fam. She's getting battered by the whole man numberski.
You think girls will cheat on Breezy?
Yeah, fam. If you're in Toronto, the shorty's definitely cheating, Kursky.
Even cheating on me?
Oh, busy bab, Kursky.
How do you know if a Toronto girl is cheating?
Yo, Kursky.
For those of you who are thinking to yourself, why is he talking like that? I don't know either. But the reality of it is people in Toronto actually do talk. Not all of them. Not this, but the intelligent people don't talk like this. But some of them do actually talk like this. This is not like a weird, one-off accent. It's quite embarrassing, but we're not going to talk about it. Anyways, I don't know what the point of this is.
Definitely cheating, fam. She's getting battered by the whole man numberski.
You think girls will cheat on Breezy?
Definitely cheating, fam. She's definitely cheating, fam. She's getting...
You know what, actually, what you can learn from this is that guys always take indifference as you either don't like them, and that's the only thing that worries them. Notice he didn't say if she's yelling at you, cursing you out, texting you a whole bunch of times, then she's cheating on you, right? Guys only perceive it as a red flag or a problem when you're not talking to them, which is precisely why you use that as your punishment, okay? When you want to punish men, you show them indifference. You stop depositing that money into that bank account. That's when they know something's wrong or something's off.
Write down everything that you don't like about him. Write it all down. Every single thing that you complain to your friends and family about. Everything you wish that he would change. Everything you really don't like about him. Now look at that list. Read it. Read it aloud to yourself. Record it if you want, okay? And listen to it back. Now, if your best friend, your cousin, your sister, whoever, was telling you those same exact things about the man that she was dating, what would you tell her? Exactly. Say it to yourself. Step outside of your situation and see it for what it truly is. Take the rose-colored glasses off, girl. It is something that is taking away from you and is not giving to you. If there's more negatives than positives, it's time to let it go. Assume those negatives will never change. Would you stay? Would you be happy with it? No. You can't change people, but you can leave if it's not what you want. Leave that man alone and move on with your life. Please. Write down.
Walk close to me, my prince.
I just took it in and went to the next thing. Sorry, but what Sarah is saying here is very true. And I'll even go a step further and tell you that what you need to start doing is writing those things down that you need or that are important to you before you even start dating. Because obviously, in theory, it's easy to just say, yeah, I'm going to write it down and I'm going to realize that if it was my girl that I would tell her this and I would tell her that. In a perfect world, yeah. But in reality, it's a lot harder when you like the guy and you're invested in him to just walk away. But what we can do is before you get invested in those guys, you have your criteria. That way, you already know from the jump, yeah, we're going in the right direction, or no, this isn't going in the right direction. Because once you answer that for yourself from the very jump, it makes it a lot harder to lie to yourself and say, maybe it's not that bad, and maybe we can just work this out, and maybe he's just going through some hard. No excuses.
Walk close to me, my prince. You could get hurt. I will open it for you. Oh, babe, I forgot to give you the card for your weekly haircut. Where are we going, my love? I am going to take you anywhere you want. You are my passenger prince. Walk close to me, my prince. You could get hurt. I will open it for you. Oh, babe, I forgot to give you the card for your weekly haircut. Where are we going, my love? I am going to take you anywhere you want. You are my passenger prince.
Okay, this is pretty funny. Don't be with men like this, though. You following? Don't be with men like this. And also, don't think that because it's 2024, that you have to take a different role. Now, assuming, straight heterosexual relationships, that's all I'm discussing. But if you're in a straight heterosexual relationship and you're a straight heterosexual relationship type of girly, you don't need to take on this role in order to have men. Now, I know it's very frustrating because you feel like every guy you meet only wants this, but I promise you, if you continue accepting that, you'll be in this for the rest of your life, but there are guys who will actually give you the princess treatment instead. Don't worry. Okay. And don't get frustrated because you meet a lot of men who are the opposite. The guys want things quick and easy nowadays. We got dating apps. We got a bunch of stuff that can create a microwave society. I know it's frustrating. Stay in the players club, stay the course, and you'll get what you're looking for. Okay. It's not this. We don't need you being here. All right.
What do you feel is a decent amount to spend on the first date?
Oh, I don't think it matters.
What? You don't think it matters?
No.
The internet is going to come for you heavily for this.
I think these girls that feel like the date that they take you on defines the man that they chose, they're full of crap. It's absolute BS. I think that it's a woman that's looking for the bigger, better deal, that has the audacity to say, I can't believe you want to bring me to the Cheesecake Factory. A lot of these dating scammers that literally go on a date every night just to be able to eat something, you're lucky you're eating tonight because you probably can't afford to do it yourself. Damn. These men don't give money, they give bags these days, and you can't eat that. So be grateful that you got some food. And be grateful that a man put in enough effort to take you somewhere. And that's the problem. I personally feel like that's the problem with today's day and age. Like, a lot of men are becoming lazy in dating. They're becoming lazy in the pursuit because there's no appreciation for what they do. And now women have these super high entitlement level thoughts that they deserve to be brought to freaking Bora Bora on their first date. And it's like, who are you to even ask for that? What value have you brought to that man? It's audacity. It's the audacity for me.
Audacity for me.
And on top of that, you should want to be friends with the person that you're choosing anyway. If I don't like you, I'm not going on a trip with you. I'm sorry, but Instagram photos on, no. Homegirl, be grateful that that man put in some effort. And you know what? The more appreciation that you choose, the better treatment you'll get.
Bar.
That's what I think.
Bar.
I don't think the amount of money matters. I think that just do something that you like. If that man likes you, you like to go, take me salsa dancing. It's free on Wednesday nights before 10 o'clock. And then it's $10 to get in. And I would love that. Buy me a bottle of water because it does get hot and I do sweat, or let's go for a walk in the park. Or let's sit in a car and eat ice cream and talk about aliens, like whatever it may be. But that's because are you out here just trying to go on nice dates, or are you out here trying to get to know a person for partnership in life?
I wish I could just microphone drop.
I'm serious.
You went off. I'm just over here.
I'm just frustrated.
I know you saw how I was looking at you.
Okay, so let's break down some of the stuff that she said here, because there's some that I agree with and some that I disagree with, but I want to be very clear about those things. Now, when she's talking about not when she's talking about putting your focus in the right place, meaning don't put your focus so much on the money and put your focus on the effort, I 100% agree with that. Because you can get lost in the idea that, hey, he's spending a lot of money thinking that that is investment. It's financial investment, but that doesn't mean he's emotionally investing in you and in this relationship. Because you know how we just watched this video about 2024 men want princess treatment? In 2024, men also understand that a lot of women are so focused on the money that if I have extra funds and I have disposable income and I just throw money at women, I'll actually make my life easier because they'll be so mesmerized by the money I throw at them in the first date or the first couple of dates that they'll sleep with me very early on, and I won't even have to play this whole charade with them and pretend like I like them, sell them on a dream, because that's way more effort. And at least when I have disposable income, I just take them to Nobu one time, buy them a nice bottle of wine, make them feel real special for one night, and I sleep with them and I'm on my way. So then the guys start to learn that instead of selling her a dream, I just spend money on her, then I get to use her, throw her away, discard of her, and she's happy because she got, a nice fancy date and a couple of nice Instagram pictures. And so the guys play you the same way, they just use a different resource to do that. And that's the problem if your focus is in the wrong place. And that's what I think she's trying to refer to here. Now, I would never advise you to go on a first date with the guy sitting in his car, not because, guys can't, still want to know you and get to know you and things like that. But if a guy's asking you to come sit in his car for the first date, there's a high likelihood he's doing that because he wants to rush into just being able to sleep with you without doing anything for you, okay? That's why I say that. Now, the gist and the concept of what she's saying and putting your focus in the right place, that I agree with, okay? And there's a balance to that, of course. You want to give guys an opportunity to show you more that they're willing to put in effort, more than just, spending money in general. But you also want to not make the mistake of thinking, effort is him saying, yeah, he'll cook me dinner at his place for the first date. But when you come over to his place, he's like, yeah, didn't I tell you cooking dinner consists of making Kraft mac and cheese from the box and, microwaving some hot dogs. Okay, so don't get fooled by that. Make sure that your first couple of dates are still in public and there is some sort of effort put towards them. And there is some sort of it's not just you guys sitting in a car or something like that, so that you can at least ensure that this isn't just about sleeping with you and getting you isolated. But you also don't want to make it like, oh, I'm only looking to go to Nobu or only looking to go to a Michelin star restaurant that costs $300 because that's the only way I'll know you're actually willing to be in a relationship with me. Then you'll get played by just rich men instead of poor men. Okay.
Good morning, sweetheart. Why I can't see you? There he goes.
What's up?
What you doing?
I'm talking to you.
Okay. When I'm gonna see you?
Soon.
What soon? I miss you, bro.
I don't know. Sooner than later. I mean, you seeing me right now.
Why you being so dry with me?
Now, what you asking me all these questions for?
I haven't heard from you all day. I just wanted to talk to you.
All right, man. I'm busy. I'm gonna holler at you later, all right? Pick up the phone when I call you, all right? All right.
Good morning, sweetheart.
This is exactly why I always advise you never to press men. Never press them. Never reach out to them too much or even at all. Let them come to you and talk to you when they're ready to talk to you. I really mean that. Simply because you can easily find yourself in a situation where you're pressing a guy who doesn't want to talk to you. And your delusion, this is the problem though. Your delusion will start to take over your mind and convince you that the reason he doesn't want to talk to you when you call or you text is because he's just busy or doing some things. And you'll continue to reach out thinking, hey, this time when I reach out, he'll be reminded of my presence and my existence and he'll want to talk to me. It never works out that way. And in fact, the only time he ends up wanting to talk to you or reach out to you or be in your presence is when you're finally not around him, not with him, and he gets an opportunity to realize, damn, I really liked her and I really like spending time with her. I would love to see her more now. Okay, so don't make that mistake. Please don't make that mistake. What is going on with my mic here? Okay, don't make that mistake. Let's go to our next one.
Here's how you initiate a shift in a situationship. If If you're in one right now and you want it to turn into a relationship or just want this person to give as much as you're putting in, you need to keep listening because this is really important. I'm Kimberly, a relationship coach. Give me a follow if you need help navigating your love life. So the first thing I want to call out that might be obvious is if you want this person and you think about them nonstop and you're so confused and feel like you're on a roller coaster, they have the power in this dynamic. And they most likely know it. And this is exactly the position they want to be in, where they can control the relationship into what benefits them. Because if they can sense you want more and they're not moving it towards a relationship, then they don't currently want to be in a relationship with you. So you coming to them a couple months in and asking, so what are we, is definitely not going to work out in your favor, because their response will be like, oh, I like what we have right now. Let's just keep seeing where things go, something along those lines. And you're going to be in this position until they finally get bored and end it all together. And I know that's harsh, but that's what's happening here. Whether or not you think you've been super low key with your interest and played it cool, people can tell. It's like a sixth sense that we have. So if you really want to change the dynamic, you need to step into your power and value. And what this looks like is becoming so focused on things that benefit your growth that you don't have time for last minute hangouts or text combos with someone that doesn't contribute to the up-leveled version of yourself. If they ask to hang, you tell them that you're busy and give them a time slot that works for you. If they can't make it, then oh well, maybe next week. You do not start convos with them anymore. You literally pull out your phone calendar and block off every opening with something productive. And if you don't think you have enough to do, you do. You can completely edit your closet. You can recondo your whole house. You can read a new book. And this is the shift. When people sense that you aren't just doing this to give them a taste of their own medicine or to play games, you're genuinely busy with things that are good for you, that's when you become more attractive and magnetic. Why do you think exes crawl back when you're finally thriving? So the position you're in currently is exactly where they want you to be in this moment, but you can shift the dynamic, but that requires up-leveling, and in the process, you might decide that what they have going on and their weird half-ass energy might not fit into your life anymore. And I hope this is the case because you deserve so much better. Here's how you initiate a shift in a
I always tell you all the worst thing you can do when you're either in a situationship or even going through a breakup is sit in your bed and be sad. Do not sit in your bed and be sad. Also, do not make your life so open, meaning that, you just have nothing to do, nowhere to go, nowhere to be, that you have the opportunity to make the choice to sit in your bed and be sad. The more productive you are, the more you go ahead and do it. And it's not about suppressing your feelings or, suppressing your sadness. You can still feel sad and be sad about the situation, but when you build a routine around doing things that are good for you, especially if the breakup was with a guy that was toxic or the situationship that was toxic, you remind yourself who you are, you remind yourself what you're about, and you remind yourself that you have happiness outside of that guy. And like we mentioned, and like I'm sure some of you know, the moment you start having a good time and thriving in your life, that is the moment where guys come back into your life and try to get access to you again, because it's almost like they can sense those things. Okay, so make sure that you're thriving and building a routine around your life that doesn't require him in it. That way you can actually start moving forward instead of moving backwards all the time. All right, chat, let's hop into our next segment of the day. Okay, very amazing segment, very awesome segment. Let's get right to it. I don't want to waste any more time. Do you guys know what time it is? You should know what time it is by now. Don't look at your clock. Don't look at your watch. Don't look at your phone. Don't look nowhere else in your home. It's an amazing time. It's an awesome time. It's a time where you're going to laugh and you're going to cry. I'll explain it to you if you don't know the time. Discord time. Yeah, let's go, guys. All right, let's hop into this thing here. For those of you who are unaware of what Discord time is, it's an amazing time. It's an awesome time. It's a time where all the members of the Discord get an opportunity to ask me a question in our Players Club Discord, and I answer it live on the show and give you advice. Now, you have a few ways of submitting your question for me to answer it on the show. You can do it by submitting into our free relationship advice section. Now, you can get into our free relationship advice section simply by going the link in my bio on TikTok or the link in my description on YouTube. When you hop right in there, you're going to be able to see the forum where we all submit our questions. Now, as you can see, there are some questions that I haven't got to yet because it is a first come, first serve basis, and I have to get to those before I can get to yours, so it won't be answered today. Now, if you're too impatient for that, you can also get your answer to our question by hopping into our premium relationship advice section. Now, this section is allows you to skip the line of people without having to wait for everyone and without having to wait for me to get to other answers, and you get an opportunity to ask your question and I answer it before I answer anyone else's question. Now, you also have a third opportunity for a question which comes in our private relationship section, and you can get access to that simply by going in our link, those same links, the link in my bio on TikTok and the link in my description. Click where it says private relationship advice, and you can send me a private question. No one else sees it. It's not on the show, and I answer it and respond to you with a voice message through your email, okay? So you have plenty of different options here. We don't have any premium questions today. Let me just make sure I didn't answer. Okay, I'm busy. Okay, yeah. And so we're going to hop right into our free section today. And we're going to start off with, this one is deleted by Reina. We're going to start off with Pico, who asks this. Pico says, he does not say, I love you. Pico says, hi, Tomisin. There was a guy I met on Tinder in 2021. We talked. It was great talking to him. He was funny, but I was not much interested in him. After some time, I removed him from everywhere. Got into a toxic relationship, and then I got a breakup from that relationship. I was single after that, suddenly after 3 years. In 2024, last month, he contacted me, and after a few conversations, he asked me for a coffee date. Okay. I said no to him. After that day, I gave him a chance. We met on a lunch date. Okay. He was good looking, funny, and humble, and I was very comfortable with him. Okay. He started asking me about marriage thoughts on the first date. Like, will you marry someone within a year? Okay. I replied, if someone is good enough for me, then I can think to marry him. He agreed. Now we are on the talking stage. He is 29 and I am 26. He is more mature than me. Okay. He is clear about his thoughts that he wants freedom, friends, outing, drinking, alcohol, and his career. Okay. But I'm not into drinking much. Excuse me. He wants a girl who can understand him and give him freedom to be with his friends while he's drinking with them. Okay. Now it's been more than a month. He said he wants to take the second step and he wants me to be his girlfriend in 1 month. But he didn't say, I love you. When I asked that I'm your girlfriend, but you haven't said to me you love me, he said, I started loving you. It's a starting stage. It will take time. I love you word is very big for me, and I haven't said it to anyone in my previous relationships. And I wasn't in any relationships in my past, but with you, I'm serious. I'm very anxious about it, Tomisin. What to do? Does he love me, or should I give him some time? Or does he just want to use me? Last weekend, we made love together. I'm confused and thinking, why? Wait, what do you mean by made love together? What do you mean by that? What do you mean by that? I'm confused in thinking why I have done that and I should not have given him pineapples. That's what you mean by that. That's what you mean. That's what you mean. Still, it happened. He still thinks the future is with me, but not disclosing me to his friend circle. But he told me that one day he will introduce me with his friends. It's a situationship or not. Piku, what are you doing? You're in a situationship, but you're in a situation where you're confused, and you're confused because you've kind of allowed this guy to do whatever he wants. You see, you also have to understand, even though the man is the man and he's supposed to be the leader, you're still supposed to set the expectation and the pace of the relationship based on what you expect from a guy who's going to get access to you. So cool, he made it clear to you he wants to get married and things like that and the future and stuff like that. But also, you have to understand, any rational person would have no problem pacing himself in a relationship to be like, I still want to get to know you and know more about you. I think personally, if I want my advice, I think that the fact that it's only been a month and he's already asking you to be his girlfriend and he's saying he basically loves you essentially, that is not good. Because I don't necessarily, based on what you sent me in your message, I don't feel like you guys know enough about each other to even be at this point in your relationship yet. And that's not even a bad thing. No one who has been seeing someone for literally a month's time should be in a position where they're ready to like date them now all of a sudden, or sorry, be boyfriend and girlfriend now all of a sudden, because you should be doing that, and that should be reserved for people who you're serious and sure about. And it seems like you are very unsure about him, and I'm sure if he actually was rational and emotionally intelligent, he would admit the same thing. But that's the problem. I don't think any of you are admitting the fact that you're a little bit unsure about each other. And so you're in a position now where this is very uncomfortable. So I think right now for you as it stands, I think you need to start setting some boundaries and pacing yourself. So I think you need to pull back on the sleeping with him. I think you need to pull back on, I hope you're not doing too much reaching out to him, but we need to start doing some gauging. And what I mean by gauging is you got to start gauging, what is it that he really is here for? Is he here to sleep with you? Is he here to be consistent with you? Because being consistent isn't about asking you to be his girlfriend in the first couple of weeks, okay? Because that can burn out real easily. Let's see, if you stop sleeping with him, how much longer this can go on for, and if he still has that same level of investment in you. I know that's going to be painful, but what I want you to do is essentially present it like, hey, I want us to focus on the most important parts of our relationship and build our connection before we get back into that point, okay? Are you following what I'm saying? If he is planning on being here for the long term, that shouldn't be an issue. Now, if he's planning on speeding this up to just do some sort of weird thing where he dates you for, 3 months and then he disappears on you, that will probably be a problem for him, because he wants things to happen fast so that you never get a chance to think, am I even ready for this? Okay. And that's not good. We don't want that for you in your relationships. Okay. Let's go to our next one here, which comes from, Irina. This message was deleted. Okay. Unfortunately. This one was also deleted. Okay. No, I guess not. This one says, Gay Sasuk. Okay. I'm ASAB from YouTube. Disclaimer needs to be at the beginning. Hindsight is, I'm worried about this message. Hindsight is 2020. I was a participant in my own demise. I have learned so much from your videos. I was the nice girl, ignored how we talked about his past relationships, told him what I wanted, gave him free money, etc. Like, phew, I'm just embarrassed, but I couldn't unblock him if my life depended on it. I am truly curious if you think he would have the audacity to approach me at work given what I explained below. I think he believes he is the ultimate player, but you're like the player professor, so here we are. I'm 26. I met a guy who's 24 at my workplace about 4 months after he started and thought everything was casual. It started with work jokes and banter. I thought everything, then because it was slow at work, we ended up doing quite a bit of work together efficiently, and I ended up learning a lot about his life. I felt bad when he told me he didn't really have close friends who understood his family circumstances. But I did, and I had a friend and a roommate who would too, and thought it would be a good idea to set up a chit chat and a pizza night at our place. It started off by me ignoring him, telling me he didn't want anything serious. And then also simultaneously being text bombed by him, called 24/7 when he was free. He would ask to sit close to me while he watched anime. With my friend. He told me separately twice that he couldn't be the man I needed him to be, but my silly self still gave him pineapples. What? Have I missed something? Have I missed something? I thought you were just going over for chit chat pizza night. How did you guys? He has a roommate. Okay, anyways, whatever. It lasted 3 months, you meant to say, before it happened, but like it wasn't going to be my boyfriend after. He wasn't going to be my boyfriend after it. I was ovulating. Oh, so you're saying you slept with him because you were ovulating. Why do you think I tell you guys go get that Tracy's dog toy? It'll insert inside you, it'll vibrate, and it'll vacuum you up. So it can do all the things you need. That way you can get one out before you go on these dates. You can't be in a position where you're saying I did the thing because I was ovulating or because I was horned up, because that's still a mistake. Okay, whether you were ovulating or not. But like I said, I was a participant in my own demise. Okay, at least you're acknowledging that. He stopped working at my workplace, but got his sister hired before he left. Now he comes in when she isn't working and also stays after she starts and does literal rounds saying hi to his ex-coworkers. That's weird. Although he knows I'm full-time. I have blocked him on everything, his number too, and I avoid paths with him at all costs. If I know he's in, I have made it quite clear I don't want anything to do with him. I don't plan to unblock him on anything, but he is trying to find a chance to talk to me, or am I just Delulu? It's been 4 months since we last spoke, so I'm sure it's Delulu. You're right, it's Delulu, okay? Don't worry about anything that's going on here. And I know that, see, what's going to happen is your ego is going to start playing tricks on you, making you feel like, oh, I'm so hurt that he doesn't want to talk to me or he doesn't want to speak to me or whatever. And you're going to start thinking, maybe I should do something to get him back. Maybe I should do something to prove to him how much I don't like him anymore or don't want him anymore. Realize your ego is trying to trap you. And the best thing for you to do when you realize you just made a mistake in your past relationship or situationship with this guy is to say to yourself, I'm not going to make any more mistakes with this guy, and I'm going to move my life forward from this guy. Obviously, you don't need to move your jobs or anything like that, because like you said, he doesn't even work there anymore. And at the end of the day, your life is best focused in the energy where your focus is required and can actually help you. Focusing your energy on trying to recover his own opinion of you is useless time spent, okay? And also, don't be thinking that he's doing things, saying things just for the simple reason of getting your attention, because clearly he didn't care enough about you to want to be your boyfriend or to make a serious relationship out of what you guys were doing. So any attempt to get your attention or to do something that you'll talk to him, clearly his desire for you isn't that burning that he wants to be serious with you. So what's the point of any of it? Okay. Anytime you start thinking of any of this stuff about him or with him, or your Delulu feelings start playing in your mind, just think to yourself, what's the actual point? Because even if we talk again, even if I sleep with him again, even if we do all the same stuff over again, it's not like we're going to be in a relationship. So what's the actual point? Okay. Next, let's go on here. Let's go to our next one, which comes from Laura. Okay. Laura says, hi, Tomisin. Men telling me that they know me from their friends. Hi, Tomisin. I just want to preface this question with some background info because I am confused. I have been talking to a guy who's 27 since July, but I ended it a little bit over a week ago. There was a lot of cat and mouse games going on, especially since it was practically impossible to meet up. And at that point, I assumed he wasn't looking for anything serious. My assumptions were proven correct when we finally managed to find a day to meet. He mentioned that he doesn't take people he meets on dates, I think you meant to say, that he meets on apps seriously. His words exactly. Oh, okay, just in general, he doesn't take people he meets on apps seriously. Wow. On the date, he made it a point to let me know that I was texting one of his friends. First of all, I am single, so I can't date around and meet people. Second, why tell me? I didn't even know they knew one another. Okay. But where I live, everyone is kind of interconnected because the country I am from is super small. So I should have seen it coming, to be honest. Fast forward a couple of weeks and we stopped texting because he canceled one date we were supposed to go to 1 hour before. Then he disappeared and texted me when I would be free that week. I told the guy that this hot and cold game was starting to bore me and make me lose interest. You don't even need to tell guys that. And he texted me WTF. I asked what if I wasn't supposed to be honest about it, and he said yes, and it's chill. I left it at that. So last weekend, I met another guy, 26, at the club. We introduced ourselves after talking for a while. I stopped him and said, you look kind of familiar. Have you been at blah, blah, blah bar to grab drinks after work? He said, yes, sometimes. But I know you from my friends. You and my roommate were texting. Oh, God. Okay. You and my roommate were texting, and you also went on a date with my other friend. But you rejected him. Today, the man I met at the club DM'd me asking me to grab coffee. So my question is, what's the point of guys pointing this out? What are they trying to achieve? I could care less what they think of me. I'm just curious about their possible thought process. Thank you. So the thought process here, Lara, is essentially they're trying to gauge and see whether or not you're a bop. Okay, let me rewind that because I know some of you don't know what I mean by bop. They're trying to gauge essentially, have you messed with another guy that I already know? Because that's going to change or adjust the way that they feel about you or the way that they treat you. I'm going to be so real with you. If they recognize or get the insinuation that you have either slept with a guy that they know or are close to, or, had a whole thing with another guy, right? It was pretty serious with another guy. They're going to start treating you with more disrespect. I have to be real with you. Why? Because they're going to say, if I start dating you, if I start dating you and you have slept with my close guy friend or my close friend or a guy that I know, it's going to make me look bad. It's an ego thing. And other guys are going to laugh at me because they're going to think I'm taking the girl that no one else wanted. Okay. I'm not saying that to say that you are that. I'm just saying that to help you understand why guys seem so obsessed about that, right? It's an ego thing. They want to compete with each other. They want to get the girl that nobody has had access to, not the girl that someone else has already had. Not saying that you're used, not saying that you're passed around or anything like that. I'm just saying why the men ask you of that and seem so concerned and obsessed with that. Are you following what I'm saying? So this is part of the reason why apps can be so weird, because you can start to meet guys in the same friend group. You can start to meet guys who, or maybe are roommates, or just things can happen because obviously your criteria is set to a very specific thing, and your area is set to a very specific area. And so, birds of the same feather flock together. So if one guy's on a dating app, there's a good chance his boy's probably on a dating app too. You know what I mean? And so that's how you can easily start getting in a position where, you know, some guys you text, some guys you chat with, and you chit chat with a whole bunch of people on all these different dating apps. And then by the time you actually meet someone, he's like, oh, my friend literally said he used to text you, type of thing. Not saying that that makes you a bad person, but I will be honest with you and tell you some guys will start acting strange or weird when you tell them you were once talking to a guy that they know, or a guy that they're friends with, or their roommate, okay? So it's best to avoid that by only entertaining guys who are serious. That way you're limiting the amount of guys you're seeing or having interaction with. And that way you don't fall into the trap of like you just casually were texting a random guy you met on a dating app, but all of a sudden like that's his roommate type of thing. That can be a very precarious situation for you to be in, okay? Does that make sense? All right, chat. I do have to run. I am very, very busy today. So that is the show for today. If you guys have a question for me or anything that you want me to answer for you and you want to get your question answered ASAP, you can always go into our premium Discord question if you want it answered ASAP, or even in our regular section, you can ask your question there. And if you want to get a private question into me, you can send that over through our private question link. It's in my bio on TikTok, social, and my link in my description. You ask your question there and I answer it to you via your email and I send you a voice message back. For those of you who are on TikTok and you want to rewatch the show, you want to follow me on Instagram, I should say first. My Instagram is Tomisin_Tub. It's right on the top left of the screen there. And for those of you who are on YouTube, it's right in my description. You just go down all the way to the bottom and you'll see the link to my Instagram there, Tomisin_Tub. For those of you who are on TikTok and you want to rewatch the show because you missed some of the points, you want to rewatch the show because you just love it so much, you want to see everything that we talked about and discussed today, my YouTube channel is Tomisin_Tub. You can even just type in my first name. See the YouTube channel, go into the live section. You get to rewatch this live show along with all the other live shows I've done since the beginning of time. And the best part is you get access to the YouTube and the TikTok chat in the video. Let me acknowledge before we head out here our donations here from the chat here. So we have a donation who came from Mariana, $20 in the YouTube chat. Thank you so much, Mariana, for your donation. And we have Deshaun, who became a master player. By the way, guys, I'm working on some special awesome stuff for you guys, both in the sphere of the YouTube channel as it relates to different types of content that we're going to be breaking down, and for the members as well. So don't you guys think that I don't have you all, your special members, in mind. By the way, look on my YouTube. In the next couple of days, we're going to be having a Love is Blind breakdown. So make sure you're prepared for that. I got something special for you guys for the Love is Blind breakdown. All right. I'll see you guys again tomorrow at 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, because I'm here every weekday at 4 p.m. EST. Until then, goodbye. Arrivederci. Adios. Sayonara. Ciao. Salam. Arrivederci. I already said that one. Bon voyage. And I see you again tomorrow, okay? At 4 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. All my little minions, okay? All my little playettes. I see you tomorrow, okay? Won't be long. Won't be long.